What's up guys, Aaron Productions, the lighting and sound here, and today I will be finally doing my behind the scenes video of my Halloween display for 2020. Now obviously by now we have our Christmas show underway, and the videos that go along with that will be coming out shortly, but let's take a little trip back in time to when the Halloween display was up. Now this video is going to be formatted a little different than last year's, since I never really filmed much of a walkthrough this year. So instead of that, I will just be explaining the elements and the parts of the display, and I'll just put up some B-roll footage that I took back then. Alright, with all that being said, let's get started with the outside of the display, which I usually start with this. So first we have my alien prop, which is one of those melted plastic bead light things, just in the shape of an alien head. It's zip tied to a jacket, and usually I have it filled with leaves, but I never got around to this year, and I never really saw it as an important element. This tree is uplit by 3 show home floodlights. These are just app controlled lights that you could set to whatever color you want, and then it has some little chasing and stuff like that, but I've never really been a fan of that. The top portion of this tree is lit by Chauvet Professional Colorado 3, which I just set to red in static mode because I didn't run DMX all the way over here, and it was a last minute thought just to light up the tree. On the tree itself there's plenty of different fright tapes that they're called at the dollar store. It's basically just caution tape with different words on it. Spider webs and a lawn sign that I just cut the stake part off of it and just screwed it to the tree. It looks like wood, so I mean, it kind of looks like a boarded sign. Alright, finally moving away from the tree here, we have the first thing that has anything on it is the garage to the left side, since we have 2. So on here I have some blacklight paintings that I made, which yes, I actually did those, not some little kid, even though it probably looks like I'm doing a good service putting the children's artwork up there. I just make these every year, and it's just like a 5-minute thing. I'll just make all of them and put them up there. This is lit by a Chauvet 18-inch blacklight. Like, I'm not sure who actually makes it, but it looks like they just shoved their logo on it. Anyways, the garage on the right side, I just have a little bit of caution tape going across it, and then I have my ghost projection that I do on Halloween, the atmosphere effects. So also on this whole area we have this laser that shoots different Halloween themed gobos with its gradient wheel inside of it all over. So I just have this screwed up to the tree. It's basically like a star shower with gobos, but for Halloween. And now we start to move on into the portion of DMX controlled lighting. On the stairs there's 3 sets of orange mini lights that are just placed horizontally so that I could do some chasing. And also up on the stairs there's some ghost pumpkins and a purple and orange rope light around the door. These are just connected to the 3 channels that were already going there because I didn't feel like running more extension cords. The final thing in this area is my gold digger inflatable. So moving on to around to the back of the display actually. We have 4 different inflatables over there. The jack-o'-lantern with the ghost coming out of it. The graves that just flash and stuff like that, the spider pumpkin thing, I'm not sure what to call it, and then the shaking tree with the ghost coming out of it. And on the ground here there's some orange and purple LEDs, and there's also some creepy eyes that are just staked into the ground, and they're on a dimmer channel that just do random flashing. So some of the inflatables and all of my props in the show run on this 30 amp 12 volt power supply that's mounted in an outdoor enclosure. I put it over here because it's closer to the inflatables and it's like central to all the props. I could have put it inside the control shack that I have, but like if it caught on fire or something, I'd rather have it just burn in the plastic box than burn everything in that wooden thing. So I'm going to move on past the control shed, and we're going to come back to that towards the end of the video. But now it's time to finally talk about the main display. And first we're actually going to start off with the outside of it. So the outline of it is purple and orange mini lights, so you can see the boundaries, which we have fencing, and there's also some caution tape or danger tape that I put down on the ground just so people wouldn't get too close, especially when we had the geysers out. We also have the fogging skulls up in the front, which has a pipe that runs underground, and that kind of gives it a low-lying fog effect, but of course also helps hide the fog machine. Now before we go down to the graveyard, let's look up in the tree first. The most noticeable thing that I have up there is a life-size glowing skeleton, which has a little 10-watt UV flood to make sure that it really glows. There's also some glowing spider webs and danger tape. We'll get on to the truss and the lighting and sound a little bit later. Towards the back there's a chain, my spinning exit sign prop, some bird skeletons, the bird in the cage prop, a cemetery sign, the bat that moves up and down, my shove bob, which, yes, this stays outside all the time because it has a little tarp above it, but when it rains a lot or when it was windy, it would get soaked, so I have to take that inside, but it survived. Alright, now we're back to the ground. For the graves themselves, I have 6 incandescent graves and 10 LED. First 6 of the LEDs graves that I'm talking about are all 3-channel, but they are only red in color, so it has 3 different points of control basically of the one grave. And then the other ones are RGB, so basically it just has an uplighting of red and green and blue, 3-channel, everything is 3-channel, besides the incandescents obviously. So I have these in an alternating pattern, so it goes like LED, incandescent, LED, incandescent, and then the next row is incandescent, LED, and it keeps going. And then the last row of 4 with the RGB gravestones, it's just pure RGB. So I do still have some non-controlled graves, meaning like things that just do their own patterns. So one of those being this Pearl E thing that has a USB disco ball. It's just powered by a USB power supply in the control shack with a USB extender. And then we also have the spider thing, which just has 2 soldering kits actually, and they're just wired into a power supply. And the last one, and also the biggest one, would be the spinning grave, which just uses a pump. It does have UV paint on it. It didn't really work out well this year because I took the 10-watt flood and put on the skeleton. And throughout the graveyard we also have some things like the pumpkin, the snake, and the ultrasonic mister that I have in the ground. And now it's time to look at my new props for this year. So starting off with the high voltage one. This one's a recycled pallet just like all the other ones that I have, but this one has various electrical boxes, receptacles, cameras, and other components including an emergency light, green lighting inside the boxes, and LED strips inside an old halogen work light housing that can all be controlled with DMX. There's also a fog machine that will have fog shoot out of all the boxes. Next up is my most time consuming and fragile prop, which has 30 different eyeballs on it, and they all have individually wired amber LEDs stuck inside of ping pong balls. And this one was definitely a hit. Everybody loved this one. This would definitely be more robust if I used pixels because those don't have fragile LED legs on them. But currently in this state, I just took NM staples and then zip tied the legs of the heat shrinked LED legs, and then all the wires just run through cracks in the pallet. And then this is all covered up with black spider web, so you can't really see it. You can if you're up close, but obviously this is in the back, so you're not really going to see it. So next prop is my busted pipes prop. This is probably the second most time consuming one. Not as complicated, but it definitely has a nice effect to it. So I just took leftover 1.5-inch PVC conduit that I had from running underground for the display actually. And then I used a heat gun to melt the plastic to make the bursted look, and then the pipes are attached to the pallet with screws going through the elbows at the end. And then I painted this all with Rust-Oleum hammered metallic paint, so it just makes it look like it's you know, iron pipe or something like that, not PVC. And then I used a bunch of green LED strips to illuminate the inside, and then there's 8 different zones technically, but I only have a 4-channel controller on here. And another thing that took a lot of time on this prop was getting the fog ready. So basically what I did was take a bunch of PEX tubing, use the heat gun to mold it into form, and then I took a PVC LB and then a 90-degree elbow, and then just put the fog machine into that, and there's a little computer fan inside that makes the fog sort of turn into more of a haze. And then that pushes the fog through every single pipe perfectly so that it just looks nice. Especially with the light in the back poking through, it definitely gives a nice effect, like the pipes are steam pipes just oozing out. My final new prop for this year is the toxic chemical one. So of course, we have the sign along with my friend here, which must have drank some of the chemicals. He's lit up from an old strobe light body that I had, and then I just put some LEDs inside of it on a chaser. This is another water prop, so it has a pump underneath, and then that splits into 2 tubes. One goes into this like soda fountain type design, I don't know what else to call it, and then we have a fog juice container that I spray painted, and then that'll just drip back into the reservoir as well. Which, fun fact, the yellow metal that you're seeing right here is actually from the work lights as well, so I kind of utilized every part of those. Another fun fact is that all the bottles are fog juice. 3 of them are Chauvet. They're ones that you can see in the green. And then the one that I spray painted is a Code 6 bottle, just so you couldn't see the conduit holding it up inside. So these are uplit from the bottom. I just had some little LED underwater lights that can run on 12 volts. And it says things like 2020 juice, so I guess you can call this like a coronavirus prop as well. So next to my prop is my tune to sign, so people obviously know what to tune to when they drive up. Alright, now let's move on to lighting. So first up is my 2 side wings in the front that really haven't changed at all since last year. So on each side we have an Intimidator Scan 110 and then 3 Slim Par 38s. These only do red because one of them, I think I fixed the other one, only has red and green, so I didn't really want to do any white patterns. And something new in the front of my display here actually is the 2 Chauvet Geyser RGBs. So these were of course a big hit, as geysers are always a big hit whenever they're used anywhere as far as I'm concerned. And they definitely added a whole new different level to my display. Alright, moving on to the main rig, we have a 10-foot truss with 4 Chauvet Intimidator Spot 110s, which last year I only had 1 of them and I said I wanted 2, but here we are now, we got 4. And then also we have 2 generic wash moving heads, as well as par 16 cans all over to light up the props and different elements in the display. And in the back, we have 2 5-foot trusses that are put up vertically. They have EMT running through them, and they never will fall over. So on each wing, there's 2 Slim Par 56 IRC IPs and 1 Color Band Pix IP. So these are always outside, that's why I ordered the IP version, so these would be out rain or shine. Everything else, lighting wise, besides obviously like everything that's on a dimmer, would only be out on the weekends when I do a full show. And then there's Scorpion duals in the middle of each wing. These were definitely a good placement, but one of them sort of has an issue with the cold, so I might trade that out for a different laser, and hopefully that would fix it. Maybe it's just that revision of that laser has a problem. Alright, let's talk about audio really quickly. So I have 2 JBL Control 25Ts on a 70 volt line. These are white, however they're covered in a black spider web so you can't see them. And there's also a JBL Control 18 ST subwoofer behind the eyeball prop, and this provided a lot of needed bass, but for some reason it kept cutting out on Halloween. I think it was because the wiring that I was using wasn't rated for outside, so by the end of the month it just disintegrated. And for those of you wondering, I do have my Haze 1D, but I'm using the 1800 Flex Fog machine with a blower fan as my phaser today because the 1D can't keep up with the large outdoor space. Alright, the last thing to look at is the control shack, which I talked about before. So running into it, we have 2 different 15 amp circuits, the 70 volt speaker line, DMX, and LOR. So the Lightorama network just runs into my 16 channel commercial controller. So when the DMX comes in, it runs into the data stream 4, which opto isolates all the different outputs besides obviously the pass through. So right out from the output we go into the 2 DP415 dimmer packs that I have here. I wasn't really using a lot of dimmer channels this year. We also have my Elation LOR driver in here. So this is a 32 channel 12 volt LED dimmer pack. This is doing the work for all of the 10 LED gravestones throughout the yard. And then we also have the chaser for the rat props, which I never plugged them in. And also, just for the record, 80% of the cables that you're seeing on the floor right now aren't in use. I just never took them out of there before, so they're just laying on the ground. And finally we move inside to my computer. Alrighty guys, so let's take a look at my computer setup here. So, the heart and brains of everything is a Dell Optiplex 960 small form factor. So, that basically runs the whole show, which before it was actually running on power saver mode, so that was bad and I found that out. The data stream 4 is in here right now because I'm filming this during the Christmas season. But one cool thing that I did this year, which I mean I kind of had it last year, I had the PTT button last year, but then I added different buttons here, and then there's an MP3 player inside, so when I press this, it would play a message outside. So if somebody was on the fence, boom, hit that. So this is what the speakers were powered off of also, right here. My Crown 160 MA. I have a bunch of Crown amplifiers, but I really like this one. This is actually my first one. We have an American Audio, just a decibel display. And then I have two Dell Ultra Sharp monitors. And then I have JBL Control 2P monitors on each side. Here's my DMX, which runs the universe that I have going outside, which I don't put this outside and just have the LOR because I like to just be able to use like the Obey 40 sometimes. I don't want to turn on the computer just to do like a little chase for the 4th of July. Like I just use this for the 4th of July because I'm not doing a musical show. So it just goes out through the window. Here is the speaker cable, and then there's like camera. This is power for my outdoor stuff. The Ethernet, DMX, everything. All the cables will go out right here, and then everything runs along the side of the house, and then it goes into conduit, and then it goes underground somewhere over in this area, and then it pops back out so that we could get to there without risk of anybody like trying to cut the wires or anything like that. Those of you wondering, I do use a whole house FM 3.0 transmitter, and this camera will not focus on it there. That's pretty much it for inside. There's not really that much to show. So let's take a look at some videos from Halloween night. I definitely do some different things on Halloween night, so it's nice to show you because I didn't do that last year because I filmed the video way before Halloween. That is it for this year's Halloween display. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you have any questions, please let me know what they are in the comments. I hope to try and do another BTS video for Christmas, but these take a lot of time, and that's especially why I haven't done this closer to Halloween, especially not closer to Christmas than it is. But anyways, that is going to conclude this video, guys. Have a great rest of your day.
My heart is a ghost town.